I'm always up for a roguelike dungeon crawler, no matter how frustrating they can be. Running through dungeons with the chance of death around every corner is a test of skill and patience, and I love it. And when it comes to developer Spike Chunsoft, I often find myself spending hours and hours with the entries of the Sharon the Wanderer series. However, we aren't here to talk about that title. Instead, the team has set their dungeon crawling development skills on the Way of the Samurai series to release Katana Kami, A Way of the Samurai story. After dozens of dungeon floors cleared and many frustrating deaths later, this is a roguelike dungeon crawler that you've been waiting for. Katana Kami, A Way of the Samurai story has you assume the role of a mysterious samurai named Ronin, as he comes across a blacksmith who has fallen into debt. While this offense is really none of your business, his daughter is kidnapped by the debt collectors as collateral for him to pay them back. Ronin offers his services to help the man, and your adventure begins. The story begins rather abruptly and seems small in scope at first, but that's just a facade as it evolves over the first hour of gameplay. Gameplay is broken up into day and night cycles, so let's dissect that. During the nighttime, players get to explore strange dungeons that appear within a tree. Each time you enter, the levels are randomly generated and you move from floor to floor, collecting items and learning new skills. Dungeon crawling is shown at an isometric camera angle that can't be adjusted. This took some time getting used to, as I'm used to the over-the-top dungeon crawler cameras. I will say that the developer did a fantastic job of bringing this genre to the 3D space. Running dungeons had a nostalgic feel to them, but the presentation made it unique. After several floors are cleared, you'll fight against a boss. Following the boss, it's possible to warp to checkpoints within the dungeon if you die or leave to return to the real world. Leaving the dungeon results to your level being reset, but you hold on to your skills and materials. Trust me when I say it's better to leave than to die in the dungeon, since death makes you lose all of your items you're holding on to at the time. It's possible to store items and money in your blacksmith though, so preemptively doing these tasks will save you a lot of grief. During the daytime, players are in for many surprises throughout the adventure. There's not much to do around the area at first, but after some time vendors and events occur to liven it up. There are times when the dialogue choices can result in nice rewards or an extra feature, which makes each conversation unique. In the beginning, you'll quickly realize that you'll never have enough money to pay off the debt by running dungeons alone. This is why the blacksmith becomes your priority. Using materials found in the dungeon, players enhance the blacksmith and sell to local groups. This also increases your affinity with these groups for additional rewards. There are a ton of optional quests to go on in this game, but sadly the organization of it all gets a little confusing. Players will need to remember to check specific signs and talk to the right people to get anything done. It doesn't help that the menus are more confusing than the maze-like dungeons you'll find yourself in. Additionally, throughout your adventure, there are so many sub-events that need your attention. Dealing with them can mean gaining a lot or losing everything. It's also possible to deliver items to the kidnapped daughter to receive special rewards. Well, you see, the reason you're doing all of this could be because, well, you want to marry her. Weapons in the game come with a variety of different styles. This also changes the way players should approach battles. Fights are kept engaging as the player will need to block and dodge to avoid damage. Some enemies can be pushovers, but the late game enemies don't mess around. Figuring out your favorite weapon types and utilizing the skills gained through battles is necessary for survival. Also, weapons can break and will need repair. Enhancing weapons comes at the cost of materials, and there's a deep layer of possible options that make your favorite weapon stronger. The game does a pretty bad job at teaching the player many of these features, and relies on text boxes to quickly show you the ropes. I would have much rather them incorporated all these small details into the opening of the game. Graphically, Katana Kami is a beautiful game that does reuse many set pieces throughout its dungeon design. The simplistic presentation of these dungeons doesn't have a lasting effects on the experience, since you don't really spend much time in them as you move to floor. Sound design is decent, but the noises that some enemies make can get somewhat repetitive. There are also online elements of the game where players can team up to take on dungeon floors or fight each other. Defeating an enemy player will allow you access to all of the items that they lost, which was sad for me because I knew the feeling of losing everything, but I took it anyway. I found some issues with the hitboxes during battles. Some of my attacks simply didn't connect, and I could clearly see that it connected. This happened numerous times, but thankfully the special attack earned after dodging or blocking at the right moment was always responsive. Katana Kami is a must-play for roguelike fans. The game loop of earning money by day and fighting monsters by night creates a fantastic gameplay experience. Still, there are some features of the game that could definitely use some clarity along with the menus being a little more accessible. Now, if you are a fan of Way of the Samurai series, you'll feel rewarded many times during this adventure as there's so many cameos and callbacks to that series. Noisy Pixel is giving Katana Kami A Way of the Samurai story a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.